Welcome to the Law Firm Practice Management Advice Podcast.
The fundamentals of business.
Join Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm as he discusses helpful strategies, tools, and insights to grow and manage a legal practice.
Good ideas are simple.
From improving client relationships to managing your team and scaling your practice, this podcast offers practical advice for navigating the challenges of law firm management.
Shall we proceed?
Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Law Firm Practice Management Advice. We have an interesting topic today. The topic is to buy or not buy other law firms. And this episode today is based on an article on my blog, lawfirmpracticemanagementadvice.com. And the title of the article is, to expand, does it make sense to buy other law firms? So as a follow-up to the episode today, go on over to that blog and read this article for more information on this topic. But let's go ahead and jump on in. All right, look, some law firms are looking to expand. They're looking to go into new markets and scale their law practice. And one of the big questions law firms that want to do this oftentimes have is, does it make sense to buy another law firm? In other words, should the law firm look within the market that they want to expand into, and should they try to buy out an already existing law firm? Okay, lots of law firms consider this. Lots of law firms contemplate it, and certainly some law firms do buy out smaller law firms or other law firms, and then they put them under their law firm's umbrella and make it part of their existing law firm. So the question is, does this make sense? Does it not make sense? Obviously, the reality is this is going to be different for different law firms. Some law firms are going to like this strategy. Some law firms are not going to like this strategy. And in fact, I'll talk about maybe an alternate way to scale that does not involve buying other law firms, all right? So let's talk about, some of the pros of buying existing law firms. Obviously, the one big one out of the gates is that the hope is that an existing law firm already has clients. So if a law firm buys an existing law firm, then the hope is they can, with these clients, be making money out of the gates, So it's not like you're just starting something from the ground up. Another pro of buying an existing law firm is that oftentimes that law firm already has brick and mortar office space. They have employees. There's equipment in that space already. And that makes it easier for a law firm to then hit the ground running, because a law firm doesn't have to invest the time and money in terms of looking for office space, negotiating a lease, buying office equipment and supplies, and then obviously interviewing staff, including attorneys, paralegals, legal assistants, whatever's going to be needed for that particular office. So a law firm doesn't have to do that if they buy an existing law firm. And so obviously that could be another pro for law firms that they might find appealing. Another pro of buying existing law firms is that the thought is that maybe the lawyer or lawyers in the firm already have a good reputation in the community, so they have positive goodwill. So the thought with some law firms is that, look, if I buy this existing law firm and I bring these attorneys on board and these attorneys are known in the community, then this is going to allow for repeat clientele, referral-based business out of the gates. And so that obviously is another pro that lots of law firms think about and consider when they contemplate buying an existing law firm. But look, there's some potential cons to buying an existing law firm that might be worthy of considering as well. I mean, one is the price to buy the existing law firm. I mean, the reality is valuing a law firm is quite difficult. Having a business evaluator come in, evaluate the business, not easy. When valuing a professional practice, business evaluators can use different approaches, which would be fair market value, maybe the income approach, and then it could be the asset approach to evaluating the business. Typically with a professional practice, you're looking at fair market value, but how do you equate the fair market value of a law firm? Very difficult, very subjective. Perhaps the income approach is better in some circumstances, some would argue, but it's hard to project cash flows and what's going to come into the future. It's, very hypothetical, if you will, And so very difficult. So, I mean, the first problem with buying an existing law firm is coming up with a fair price. And look, I mean, if somebody's looking to sell their law firm and sell it very reasonably, maybe that makes sense. But, lots of law firms might be looking for top dollar in order to sell their firm. And so buying an existing law firm can be expensive. And, law firms have to have the extra money in which to even do that. So that's con number one. Con number two is that, look, it can be hard to assimilate employees from another law firm into your law firm, right? Employees are oftentimes used to doing things the way that they do them. And your law firm might have different procedures, different protocols, different things you want to have take place within your law firm. So look, while it might sound easy that you're going to bring these employees into your firm, bring them into your umbrella, how do you assimilate them? How do you get them to do things the way you want them done? And look, sometimes that can be quite a bit harder than a lot of law firms might consider and contemplate. Okay. Another downside to buying an existing brick and mortar law firm is that, look, that law firm might be under a lease. And so then you're going to take on an existing lease that this law firm has. Maybe that lease is a good lease. Maybe it's a bad lease. Okay. And maybe this law firm has other debt contracts that they've signed and whatnot, and then you would be bound by those conceivably if you're going to buy this existing law firm. So anybody considering buying an existing law firm has to look at all of those different things. I mean, is the lease good? Are the contracts that the law firm's bound by, are they good? And does this law firm have a lot of debt? If it has a lot of debt, it might not be, the best law firm to purchase. Another downside is this whole reputation argument that I brought up a minute ago. It's like, well, look, I mean, if you're bringing attorneys into your law firm, the hope is that they have a great reputation in the community, and then they can help bring in clients into the firm and really a repeat or referral-based situation. But the reality is this is hard to know out of the gates too. So, law firms who are thinking of buying other law firms for this reason really want to do their due diligence and find out whether the lawyers in this law firm are really respected and whether or not they have a history in terms of bringing in repeat or referral-based business. I mean, if that's not there, then, that could be a con to buying an existing law firm. So look, buying existing law firms, definitely something lots of law firms that want to scale think about and contemplate doing, but there's pros and there's cons, and every situation is going to be quite a bit different. For some law firms, what they might think about doing is just starting from scratch, rent office space, bring in new employees, buy the equipment to make that office work, with the idea that buying that equipment might be quite a bit cheaper than buying a law firm that already exists in the market. And then you just begin from scratch and you market appropriately and you move forward and expand from there once the clientele is there to really support it. Okay. But obviously, to start a law firm or a law office in a new location from scratch requires some intricacy, some advanced knowledge, and obviously, it requires making a good lawyer hire out of the gates, finding space that isn't too expensive, and then having a really solid marketing plan that allows this new office to take off. And again, that's not easy either. So again, the topic, an interesting one to scale. Should a law firm buy an existing law firm? Again, there's some pros, there's some cons, but I wanted to cover it here in the episode today. As a follow-up to the episode, go on over to lawfirmpracticemanagementadvice.com and read the article titled "To Expand, Does It Make Sense to Buy Other Law Firms?" The date of that article is December 12th, 2024. Well, listen, thanks for tuning in today to Law Firm Practice Management Advice. Stay tuned to our next episode coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Law Firm Practice Management Advice Podcast with Kirk Stange. Kirk Stange is the president and founding partner of Stange Law Firm, a multi-state divorce and family law practice. For more insight on similar law firm management topics, visit his practice management advice blog at lawfirmpracticemanagementadvice.com.